get the party started. So again, my name is Olivia Richardson, Executive Sales Director with Senior Marketing Specialist. Excited today to present to you with Senior Marketing Specialist presents, talking about our Integrity exclusives Medicare supplement products, and basically to talk to you today about why you need to make sure you have these products in your portfolio, why they are best for you, why they are best for your clients, and then how we can help you with that. So I like to think I am an expert in many, many, many topics, but there is nobody better to bring you this information than our guest speaker today. So I do want to go ahead and take this opportunity to introduce to everybody Mr. Tim Sims. Tim is the Partner Support Manager for Integrity Marketing, which basically means that Tim is my lifeline. Sorry, Ted. Oh my gosh, Ted. Brittany just mentioned me, Ted. Ted is our lifeline. It's kind of an inside joke I took too far. Ted is our lifeline. Anytime I have a question on how I can help our agents better, any carrier specific questions, anything like that, Ted is our lifeline to make sure that you guys are getting the absolute best support and the absolute best service. So Ted, I'm going to go ahead and kick it on to you again. I think his self-proclaimed title is the Webinar King. He's been doing I think you said like several dozens of webinars coming up to help partners educate their agents and help partners, with their agents of growing their production and helping their clients to the best. Again, inside joke for calling you Tim for everybody that nobody else was on. Early in our relationship, there was the funniest thing. We accidentally emailed Ted and called him by the wrong name, so that's been his name for us ever since. So that's my apologies, Ted, but welcome to our webinar, to our presentation today. And I'm going to take my foot out of my mouth and hand the mic over to you.
Thank you for that warm welcome, and no worries at all. I get called Tim, I don't know, 4 or 5 times a week. For some reason, it just still stands. So no worries at all. Appreciate the warm welcome. I'm happy to be here representing for you guys. My name again is Ted Sims. I actually work for Integrity Marketing. I've been in this business. I'm going into my 22nd year. I'm not going to give you a whole lot about me, but a highlight of that is about 10 years actually in the field selling to senior clients. So I do have a lot of experience out on the field selling any of the senior products that are available out there. I consider the business we work in the greatest business in the world, and for a few different reasons. First and foremost, we all have our own client stories. To me, some of those client stories when, you did what's right by your client, you gave them the products they needed to take care of themselves, and after the fact, when they come to you and tell you whether it was a life insurance policy, a health policy, whatever you sold them, how much it meant to them after the fact, that's extremely satisfying. But on the flip side of it, kind of equating to what we're going to talk about today, I think it's the greatest business in the world because you guys get to control, we as an agent get to control, basically how much money we want to make, how much effort we want to put into this, what we want to get out of this. And there are 2 big factors that actually drive that piece. And one of them is partnering with the right IMO and working with senior market specialists. They've been in this business, I don't even know how many years anymore, but they're one of the top premier IMOs out there for you guys, and we're going to talk through some things for them. And then the other one is choosing the right carriers for your portfolio to make sure you have products that are appealing to your clients. So kind of a quick housekeeping. I'm going to give you the agenda. She mentioned we were going to do about 45 minutes. That's what this presentation typically takes without questions. I will stay on and answer any questions at the very end also that Olivia was not able to answer. But we're going to kind of walk through the different roles that Integrity Marketing Group plays in the Medicare supplement space as far as bringing these products to market. We're going to talk about just by having a contract on any one of these carriers with a senior marketing specialist, all the value and support that adds, the tools that you have available to you. And then we're going to do carrier spotlights on the top 3 carriers we currently have in the market. ACE, Aflac, and the Allstate, with all the multi-discounts that are available to you guys, and why, how to position these, how these are positioned to be part of your portfolio. So without further ado, I'd like to just kind of walk you guys through where Integrity falls into the scope of things when Medicare supplement carriers come to market. Typically speaking, you have your insurance carrier, your Medicare supplement carrier, you have your clients, and then the agent is in the middle bridging that gap between the two. But in addition to that, Integrity plays multiple roles in this distribution chain. First and foremost, product development. That's the team I actually work for here in Atlanta. I'm not smart enough to design these Medicare supplements, but I am part of the sales team to actively promote and talk to agents about why these are good for their portfolio. So we'll kind of dive into that a little bit more here in a second. We also partnered with a advertising firm called Thomas Arts. Thomas Arts is actually the agent of record for Aetna and United Healthcare, I believe. But where they come into play with all of our proprietary Medicare supplements is they design the turnkey pieces, social media assets, get things pre-approved for you guys. They play a huge role in helping make you guys' job easier when you're presenting Medicare supplements to your clients. And then a couple of other pieces in here. This is the sales distribution. So independent sales distribution, that's your senior marketing specialist out there that bring the product to you guys. There's also career shops, which I know they have one in their own office again. And then contact center, which is your call centers out there. Integrity is partnered with a bunch of different ones of these throughout the United States also. And then the last but not least, technology and third-party administration. And we're going to dive deep into the technology piece of this because there's an awful lot of tools that you guys have available to you. I'm not sure if you guys are using them, but again, I'll highlight just by having one contract with one of these carriers through Senior Market Specialist, you guys have access to a litany of tools that will make your job really, really easy. On the technology side also, we partnered with CSG, which we're going to talk through. We've partnered with Deft Research. Those of you that sell Medicare Advantage plans out there, just so you know who Deft Research is actually the company that every single one of these Medicare Advantage companies reaches out to on a year-to-year basis prior to making any type of product change. Every single one of them does. So we partnered with Deft Research, and then third-party administration. We do have partnered with a company called IAS, which actually is the third-party administrator on one of the products we're going to talk about today. So those are the different roles above and beyond where Integrity falls in. This is not meant as a humble brag. It's just meant to tell you guys different pieces that fall in here. And I'm kind of outlined with you guys why it's important to you in a couple of these different slides. So here's the list of carrier partners that our team in Atlanta has brought forward. Today, we're going to discuss ACE, Aflac, and Allstate. Those are the big three that are pretty much the hottest products on the market right now. So we're going to do a little bit deeper dive there. So going back to Integrity falling into this, there's some thought processes that go into the design of the Medicare supplements that they bring to market. And, one of the things that they want to make sure for you, the agent, and for your clients is that these Medicare supplements are appealing. And that's kind of a broad statement, but we're going to dive down a little bit deeper into what we mean by that. In addition, for you, the agent, we want to make sure it's profitable. Obviously, you guys are out here to make a living, and we want to make sure that our Medicare supplements are profitable. We're not undercutting you guys in any way, shape, or form. And there's a few pieces that we'll kind of outline there. And then, one of the other important pieces is, again, we want to be easy to work with when it comes to writing the Medicare supplements. I go back to that whole greatest business in the world. You guys have choices. You have choices on choosing your IMO. You also have choices on which Medicare supplement carriers you're going to want to do business with. And we want to make it as easy as possible to do business with these. So these are part of the thought process that goes into designing these Medicare supplements. So I talked about appeal being a broad scope. When I sat down with clients, when I was actively selling, I still sell, but I'm basically just servicing my block of business now. One of the most important things I always asked my client was what was important to them. And, there's generally going to be three factors that come up. Is it the brand name of the carrier? Some states, we have brand names that kind of own the state, but there's other carriers available that have better rates. So you ask your client, is it the brand? Is it the rates? I mean, is the lowest rate what's most important to them? Or is it a competitive rate with a good brand? So again, I always kind of let my client dictate to me what was going to be the direction that we went in with them. And I made sure I had a full suite of options to give them, whichever one it was going to be. And most of the carriers we're going to talk about today are going to check off multiple boxes in these. And then the last one, this one doesn't come up quite as much from clients, but the financial stability of the company, basically their AM Best rating. Is that something that's important to your client? It may be, it may not be, just depending on your client. And then the last thing we talk about again is the effortlessness. I talk about easy to do business with. We're going to change the terminology. We want to take as much effort off of your plate to write these Medicare supplements as we go forward. So, those are the key factors that we look at when we're bringing them in, and we want to make sure that we bring those to you guys. So when I talk about profitability from an agent standpoint, one thing you're going to find with all of our products that we bring out there, you're going to have a top commission available. Now, what I mean by that is, you're not going to find that we're 2 or 3 points in most cases under what everybody else out there is offering. We're going to be at least matching, if not beating, pretty much whatever everybody else is offering, for the most part nationwide. So you're going to have the top commissions available for you. And that goes one step further. Whether you're a street level agent that writes one Medicare supplement a year, or you're a MGA or a big agency that writes thousands of Medicare supplements a year and you qualify for above street level contracts, you're always going to find that those commissions are as high as possible for you guys. So, we're very proud of that factor. We also know that Medicare supplement is a product that sticks on the books in most states, unless you have some oddball anniversary type rules where you have to do it. It still sticks on the books, but you have to do a little bit of extra work. So, one of the things from Telos Actuarial is 9 out of 10 enrollees on a Medicare supplement are highly satisfied or satisfied with their plan coverage. So that means that, once a consumer gets on a Medicare supplement, they're going to want to stick with that type of coverage. The other thing for profitability wise from the same group, there's 65 million Medicare beneficiaries currently in 2022, actually. That's going to grow to 78 million in 2031. That's going to be an estimated almost 18 billion in growth in just Medicare supplement premiums, not even factoring in the Medicare Advantage piece. So profit-wise, there is a huge opportunity in front of you guys still going over the next 8 or 9 years. And then, as I mentioned, another piece of our profitability is every single one of our Medicare supplement programs has some type of bonus program that's running year round. The current ones, this is Allstate. They don't have their flyer out for me yet, but I can kind of give you the highlights. You qualify with 10 applications. Once you've qualified, all of those applications will pay out as follows: $125 on your underwritten business, $50 if you're in an anniversary or birthday rule state, and then $25 for open enrollment. Aflac is currently $100 for underwritten and $50 for non-underwritten, such as open enrollment. There, you only have to reach 3 qualified applications in a month. And then our biggest one currently running is the ACE bonus, $250 per underwritten case. This is running for the entire second quarter. So once you have reached 5 submitted applications, you will get $250 for every underwritten and an additional $25 if it is an open enrollment type case. So back to the profitability wise, throwing these bonuses on top of the commissions that you will get brings it more in line with some of the commissions you see on other products such as Medicare Advantage, those sort of things for you. So want to make it as profitable as possible for you guys. The other thing is, with COVID kind of winding down, carrier incentive trips are coming back in. I guess that's not really a profit-wise, but it is a perk or a benefit to you guys. And then lastly, but not least, the support you're going to get from my team here, and then obviously the senior market sales specialist team, senior market specialist support tools out there, and all the tools that you get for them is absolutely huge. I mean, again, partnering with senior market specialists as your IMO takes you a long way, frees you up to have the opportunity to spend more time selling and less time having to do administrative stuff like that. So the effortless piece, pre-approved turnkey materials. This is where I've talked about Thomas Arts, who is our marketing firm. They're going to have most everything you're really going to ever need, from social media stuff to anything else out there, at your fingertips and available on most of these products that you're going to see. Some states take a little longer to get things approved than others, but for the most part, you're going to find most everything you need on a given basis. Carrier feedback loop. Now, this is kind of important to our team here. I mentioned I work for the team in Atlanta that designs these Medicare supplements. I'm on the sales side. You agents actually play a key role in this for us for current products and future products. And what I mean by that is, when we launch one of these Medicare supplements, it doesn't always go according to plan as far as perfect, everything going smooth. And I can give you a couple of different examples. One of our carriers we launched a few years back did not have a real easy e-app process. There was no security question signature. The feedback from the field was that it was just too clunky to do business on the e-app. We addressed it. We had them fix it. We had them change it within a matter of a couple of months and got that upgraded and fixed. It's things like that. The feedback to you guys, from you guys to senior market specialists to get back to us that can help us fix these and make it easier for you guys. So we really do value your opinion. There's other examples of it, but without going into too much in the weeds, things like that are very important, obviously within reason, and we do value your feedback. And then as I mentioned, the e-app signature process on all of our apps, we make that as simple as possible for every one of the carriers we bring forward. And then again, back to the support of the senior marketing specialist team. Again, that's very important to help you guys grow your own business. It's obviously in their benefit to help you guys write more business. So the support you're going to get from them is absolutely huge. And then lastly, but not leastly, the access to tools. Again, I keep highlighting just by having one contract with senior marketing specialists, but these are some of the tools that you have available to you. And this is kind of a funny slide to me. Obviously, you would not want to do this job with a simple bicycle tire pump. So some of the tools, and we're not going to spend a ton of time today diving in really, really deep because we could spend 2 days going through this. I will highlight to you first and foremost, the Integrity Medicare Center is always running webinars to teach you agents the tools that are available to you. So I would reach out to senior marketing specialists and have them set you up with one of the webinars. But the tools that are available through Medicare Center is a CRM for you guys. Call recording. I know going into last year, before AEP of last year, there was a lot of scrambling trying to figure out, hey, how I was going to get my Medicare Advantage sales call recorded compliantly for CMS. That is a free tool to you guys. That's huge. You also have your own personal URL, basically a little website. You have access to quote and enroll. You can send your clients side-by-side comparisons. There's links to the CSG quoting tools, Medicare app, Connecture, Medicare Link, and Sunfire. There's so many tools just under the Medicare Center. Again, you could spend days, but I want to make sure you guys, if you have not taken advantage of Medicare Center, please register and take full advantage of it. It will make your life a lot easier on the sales side. Attached to Medicare Center is Lead Center. You can order real-time health and life leads. You can order old leads. You can pick which kind of leads you want to order. There's all kinds of things. I know Medicare Advantage companies sometimes give marketing allowances to you, so you can load those in there and get your leads. You can get real-time leads. And it also, again, connects over with Medicare Center, the CRM, and the call reporting so you can stay compliant. So again, this is another neat tool that you guys need to take advantage of if you are not. Then again, another one, the quoting tools, Medicare Supplement and Ancillary Quoting Enrollments. CSG Actuarial is one of our partners here. And again, by doing business with senior marketing specialists, this brings you access to this. The Supp Consumer Quoting Tool, where you can email side-by-side comparisons to your client. And then there's all kinds of market reach, agent recruiting database, all kinds of things available. Again, there's so much here that we really don't have time to go into it. I mentioned the turnkey materials. Here's some examples, social media assets for some of the companies that we do business with. There's client-facing email templates. There's recruiting templates if you're recruiting agents. There's social media assets. Most everything you're going to need is going to be available at your fingertips. One of the other neat tools that one of our partnerships brought to the table was the Turning 65 phone app. The web address is down here. Again, they will verify that you have contract through Senior Marketing Specialist, but once you have that, you have access to this free to you again. It has a turning 65 locator, which shows you everybody within 6 months that's turning 65 around your address, wherever you may be located. This happens to be in Georgia for me, but just kind of a neat little tool. It does not give you their phone number, but it does give you their name, address, and their actual when they're turning 65. It also has a Supp rate quoter, final expense quoting tool, hospital indemnity quoting tool, dental vision hearing quoting tool. So again, a nice, neat little tool for you guys that you can take advantage of. Here's just a large review, and if you do decide to go to that website, it'll bring you to this. You'll need to click on the register here function, and like I said, it will verify that you are contracted through one of the carriers through Senior Marketing Specialist. Here's a screenshot of Medicare Center. Again, it just links your calls. You can download, you could send it to CMS if you had to, anything along those lines. There's so much there, I don't have time to go into it. Now, having said all that, we're going to dive into our carrier presentations. And since this was a national webinar, I'm going to kind of just do a breakdown of how I approach this when I'm on the road presenting or doing a state specific. I just picked a set of zip codes out of Iowa for today's. And, you know, I actually volunteer you guys to kind of share this thought process with your clients. So when I first sit down with a client, when I'm educating them, I talk about, you know, a Medicare supplement is a Medicare supplement. The only difference you're ever going to see between like a Plan G and a Plan G is going to be the name that's on your actual insurance card and the amount of premium that you're paying out of your checking account. So unless that you feel that there's more value in having XYZ name than XYZ name as a client, it really doesn't make sense. And then I'll talk to my client about, you know, if I sat down here with 6 of you seniors right now to teach Medicare supplement to you guys, and I gave the first senior a cup of Medicare supplement and I charged them $89 a month, by the time I got to that 6th senior and I told them I was charging them $155 a month for their Medicare supplement, they'd look at me like I was crazy. I said, well, that's the same thought process when one of my clients talks to me about wanting to buy something that is, you know, not priced as competitively as it should be. I understand agents and I fully respect sometimes don't always want to take the lowest premium. And I respect that, you know, but you do have options that are still not so much higher priced that your client is paying an absorbent amount more money than they really should be, that, you know, you can do right by them, giving them a brand name that they may want that may be $5 or $10 more a month, but you also outline that to them as comfort. You know, so having said all of this, I'm going to tie back in. There are a lot of options that fit in the ranges of all of this for you to make sure that you're not selling your client an overpriced Medicare supplement that somebody can come in behind you and replace. That's actually how I built my block of business, replacing a couple here in Georgia that were in this same scenario and priced about the same out of the market, and it was just prevalent Medicare supplement. So the first carrier we're going to talk about today is ACE. You guys may or may not be familiar with the Chubb name. I will tell you ACE actually purchased the company Chubb, and they came to market with the ACE name instead of the Chubb name. Chubb is actually a really large company, and when they combined with ACE, they became the world's largest publicly traded property and casualty company. They are absolutely huge. In 2021, they did more than $200 billion in assets, and they reported over $46.8 billion of gross premiums. That's a good bit of premium on the books for the property and casualty side. This one is actually a huge one, and this kind of goes to the scope of how big Chubb really is and how far they're reached. So 93% of Fortune 1000 companies have at least one Chubb product. Let me put that in a different perspective. Only 70 of the top 1,000 Fortune 1000 companies do not have a Chubb product out there. So it is a very huge, well-known organization. A lot of your seniors will be familiar with them, and there'll still be a fair amount that are not. And then, you know, this one's kind of unique. There aren't very many A++ rated carriers out there, and I only know of 2 that actually are in the Medicare supplement space, and the other one is State Farm. And a lot of the areas that State Farm is in, their Medicare supplement rates are not competitive. So as far as I'm concerned, this is the only A++ rated carrier that's actually in the space with competitive rates. The product highlights for you guys, I mean, this is pretty simple. Chubb was designed as a rate play. You saw my coffee cup example. It was the lowest base rate. That was the rate before household discounts were taken into effect. So it was designed to be the lowest rate in pretty much every state that it came out in. You are going to find it is that way with the exception of Nebraska. It's going to be pretty much the lowest base rate you find out there. It was designed as a rate play. It was designed to be that rate for you. So that's the biggest piece of information you need to know. It does have a 7% household discount, one policy. What I mean by one policy, whatever the state rules may be, if they're living with a spouse that's over whatever age or significant other, only one of them has to apply to get the discount. The other piece is, I mentioned one of our third-party administrators was IAS. This one is actually administered and underwritten by IAS. So that gives us a little bit more insight in the behind-the-scenes piece of this. And then they have your typical plans, A, F, G, and the states that have high deductible G and N are not every state, but some of the states out there also have those. And then I mentioned the ease of doing business, the EAP signature. With ACE, you actually have the security question signature, you have text signature, you have email signature, and they take it one step further. They will actually let you do an EAP, print the application out, and ACE will actually mail it to your client for a wet signature if your client is old school and wants to have a signature on an actual app. So again, ease of doing business with, they take that one step further for you with that extra customer service. So I mentioned this was designed as a rate play, and I also mentioned that I understand that agents don't always want to sell the lowest rate, and I'm fine with that depending on how you want to set up your business. But I do want to mention that it is probably worth adding to your portfolio of product, just because if you are competing against rate and you come up against it, you're really going to have a tough time selling against it. So you really want to take a strong look at it, just at least based on when you have to sell based on the lowest rate. That's really it. I'm going to have to assume that everybody here has a full understanding of Medicare supplements. I just wanted to position ACE in your mind on how it was designed and where it was designed to fit in. Again, back to my things that I talked about, we look at, it has appeal. It has a brand name that a lot of seniors will understand and know. It has lowest rates pretty much everywhere you're going to be out there. And once you start adding in the household discounts, it's even that much more competitive. It is an A++ rated carrier, so those clients that want the financial stability. And then for you agents, it also has the year-round bonus. In fact, they're one of the richer bonuses out there at $250 per app for the underwritten piece. So that's really the overall spiel on where ACE comes into the market. The next one we're going to talk about is Aflac and how Aflac was positioned. I don't need to spend a ton of time with you guys, I'm assuming, talking about who Aflac is. You can't go a college football weekend if you watch college football without seeing the duck on there probably 50 times on a Saturday. So it obviously has a brand name appeal to your clients. It is an A+ rated carrier. They were established in Columbus, Georgia, actually under the name American Family Life Insurance Company of Columbus, and they changed the name to American Family Life Assurance Company in 1964, and that obviously set them up for one of the most groundbreaking advertising campaigns in history with the duck. I mean, I'm surprised if anybody is not familiar with the duck, quite honestly. So where Aflac has positioned itself, and there's a better map at the end, but they're pretty much nationwide. Every state that has any color on here is already actually released now. It is a brand name that is recognized by 87% of seniors. So it is going to check off that I'm comfortable with the company name for your clients when your client, you ask your client what's important to them. It also has a 10% household discount. That's a one policy discount, again, depending on whatever the state rules are. It is actually administered by Aetna. That's an important piece to notice. We're going to talk about that again a little bit in a second. It's priced to sell. It was not designed like ACE, but it was designed competitively. If you go back again to my coffee cup analogy, I believe it was $89 versus $103 for the Aflac. This was designed to compete with the tier one carriers. That would be the United Healthcares, the Blue Cross Blue Shields, the Cignas, those sort of guys. And you know, it was designed to be lower cost than them, but also have the brand name rate. So has a really good rate. It's not the absolute lowest, but it is designed to sell with a really good rate for you. It does have the typical plans that we talked about. I talked about Aetna being the third party administrator, and let's just kind of pause for 1 second and talk about CVS, because I know a lot of agents wrote CVS. CVS is currently taking some of the larger rate increases out there currently at 9% or some cases a little bit more. You know, CVS was kind of a product of real bad luck in the timing of COVID, quite honestly. When we launched CVS, it was actually our largest launch ever. That happened, I guess, right before the United States and the rest of the world shut down for COVID. So you had a few different things in play here. Just kind of a quick high overview. There was an awful lot of open enrollment business coming in from seniors. In fact, an exorbitant amount of open enrollment business coming in from seniors. A couple of things, because seniors were worried about COVID. They didn't want to start switching their health insurance. So this was actually the home for an awful lot of the open enrollment business across the United States. Fast forward a couple of years later, when the world opened back up and all of those seniors had not had an opportunity to have things addressed for their health needs. So there was a lot of claim history, and it really was just a thing of poor timing and bad luck for CVS to take some of the rate increases that they're currently taking. So wanted to highlight this because if you guys are comfortable with the Aetna platform, whichever Aetna you might have been writing on the Medicare supplement, be it CVS, traditional Aetna, the Aflac product is administered by them. The URL is different, but you're going to notice that the website, the portal is the same. The underwriting activity is going to be the same. So if you're comfortable with that process, this is a great opportunity for you to sell a competitively priced product and keep in line with the the Aetna branding that you like, or any of the things you like from the background of that. I mentioned the tier one carriers. This was actually from late last year when it first came out. Aflac has not taken a rate increase. A lot of these other carriers have, so they're even more positioned competitively than they were back then. But this is what I meant by being the lowest price of the tier one carriers. This is how this product was designed, and here's a random sampling of states that were out there. Again, back to the top three things that I talk about really for: brand recognition for your client. We have a check mark there with Aflac. The rating, if they're interested in the financial stability of it. You have extremely competitive rates. They're not the lowest rates around, but they are extremely competitive. And then again, for bonuses for you agents for your profitability. And that's kind of how Aflac was designed to be positioned in the market for you guys. The last one we're going to spend about the last 10 to 12 minutes on is going to be Allstate. And the only reason we're going to spend more time on Allstate is because there's an awful lot of moving pieces here that I want to make sure you guys understand. So who is Allstate? You guys may be familiar with them from the NatGen name. They actually were purchased by Allstate back in 2021 and completed full branding over to Allstate October of 2022. So everything out there that was under the NatGen name is now currently under the Allstate name. You know, when I think of a typical property and casualty company, first thing that comes to mind to me is I want to stack discounts. I want to get my homeowners and my automobile and anything else I may have so that I can actually bundle and get discounts, or however you want to think about it. So that's one of the things that I think about when I talk about or when I'm thinking about property and casualty companies. A little bit about who they are. They're part of the Allstate family of companies. They are, again, an A+ rated carrier. They do have 51 billion in annual revenue and 191 million policy holders currently. That's an awful lot of policy holders. Again, a very large name that will make your clients feel secure. I'm old enough to remember the Good Hands People ads, and more recently the Mayhem ads. My wife, laughs at me because every time they come on, I kind of tune her out and start laughing at the Mayhem guy, but he cracks me up. But again, that's free advertising for you as an agent. I think it's great. It's a great opportunity for you to get an Allstate name in front of your clients that they're going to be familiar with. Product highlights. This is where Allstate sets themselves apart. And I talked about, bundling discounts, things like that. A few different things that they actually do differently. Instant underwriting. 80% of the policies that are issued through Allstate are an immediate on-the-spot underwriting decision. To me, that's huge, especially going into AEP. You may run out of time for getting a policy issued. You're running up on an effective date and it's not issued yet. This is absolutely game changer for me. I wish I had more companies like this years ago when I was writing, but that to me these days is absolutely groundbreaking. I love it. It gives you also an opportunity to pivot to another carrier if they are declined while your client is still hot and in the interest in buying mood. The other thing is if they are instantly underwritten, then they do have the ability to have the agent download an ID card for them and give it to them until their plastic cards are mailed. So that's a nice little perk. And this one doesn't really matter that much, but any day effective date. So you can write it on 29th, 30th, or 31st. The bank draft will default back over to the 1st unless you select another date. But again, it's unique, so I went ahead and listed it. Now here's where we're really going to get into the meat of where Allstate separates itself. First and foremost, they have an additional rating class for your healthier clients. It's called the Preferred Select Rating. There's really four qualifiers. First and foremost, it needs to be underwritten business. It starts at age 66 and needs to fall under generally falls under the underwritten business. Without going into weeds, there are some loopholes, but for the most part, it is going to be underwritten business for you. The first qualifier is they do need to have a little bit tighter height and weight chart. So your more physically fit clients that fit in that chart are going to qualify for it. The second requirement is they cannot have used any tobacco in, I believe, the last 12 months, depending on what the state asks. They need to be able to answer no to the tobacco question. And then the extra health question that is added in for this is they look back 5 years on being diagnosed with depression and having any type of antidepressant prescribed. So those three qualifications on top of the typical underwriting 20 or so questions, your client will qualify for the Preferred Select rate. The beauty of this is the Preferred Select rate is actually banded from age 66 to age 70. What I mean by banded is there's no annual age increases that will hit those clients. If the block of business takes a regular rate increase, then they're going to go ahead and be applied to that, but they don't take any type of age increases associated with your clients. Now, the next piece of this is the multi-discount program that I talked about when I talked about stacking discounts, stuff like that. The first piece, everybody has some type of household discount. 7 or 10% is Allstate. 7% is your one policy discount if only one spouse or significant other is applying. 10% if they're both applying. And the unique thing with the 10% is if the other person is declined, they don't remove the 3%. So that client actually maintains that 10% household discount. The next piece of this, we never really had a reason to ask our clients recently if they're willing to pay annually, but if your clients are actually willing to pay annually, they can get an additional 10% premium discount. So right there, you've got anywhere from 7 to 20% in discounts available to your client. And then the last one is this is not going to be a home for every single senior client, but there is a 5% activity tracker discount. Couple of things about this. Again, if your client's not tech savvy, it may not be a good option for them. But the only requirement to get this 5% discount from Allstate is that they own a device, they register the device, and they take one step a day. So as long as they put their watch on, whatever it is, and they get out of bed, they're going to qualify. Allstate is never going to call your client and talk about how many steps they took. They're never going to reach out to your client any way, shape, or form about it. The information is really only stuff that they're using actuarially for other products, or I don't even know exactly what, but that's kind of the assumption that we have on what they're doing with it. But they're not going to use it specifically against your client any way, shape, or form. They're not going to call them. They're not going to do anything else. So let me put this into perspective where we're at right now. If you went through this whole process and you could actually save your client an additional 25% off of their premiums. That's equivalent to 3 months worth of free premium. Now, you remember back on my coffee slide, I don't know if you paid attention, but Allstate was around, it was middle of the pack there again with their base rates with no discounts applied. In a minute, I'm going to show you where they stack up once you start adding these discounts in. In addition, if your client does purchase a Medicare supplement policy, Allstate gives them Amplifon hearing care. This is a nice little program for them. The biggest highlights are they basically get follow-up care. There's a $75 office visit if they don't use Miracle Ear. If they use anywhere else, $75. Once they purchase their hearing aids, they're purchasing them at a discounted rate, but the biggest benefit kicks in after that. The discount is nice. But the biggest benefit is any follow-up care for the first year. Suppose that senior has to have that thing fine-tuned 3 or 4 or 5 times. Those follow-up visits are free. Number 2, they get free batteries for 2 years. From what I understand, those batteries for those hearing aids are quite pricey. That is an extremely nice value for your clients. And then the last piece of that is that they do get 3-year loss damage, some kind of waiver program in there. So if they lose it, they damage it, anything like that for the first 3 years, there's some kind of coverage for them there also, which is really nice. And again, that's totally free just by purchasing a Medicare supplement policy with Allstate. And then they also have their Active and Fitness program, Active and Fit fitness program. This has 2 components to it. There is a free one, which they have access to around 10,000 on-demand videos that they can work out in their home. There is a paid component, which is $25 a month. The $25 a month gains them access to over 15,000 gyms nationwide. Pretty much all of the big ones are in there. And the beauty of that is they actually sign up through the Active and Fit website. They don't go down to the gym, have to deal with the salespeople, all of that. And there's no contract, so they can cancel anytime. And they can change gyms at any time. They don't have to go down there and cancel one membership, go to another one. They actually just go on the Active and Fit website and say, I'm tired of whatever gym and I want to go to a different one. They can change anytime. They can change multiple times. They can do whatever they want there. And at $25 a month, that's not a bad deal for them if they do like to use the gym and the physical facilities. Now, the last thing as far as product highlight here is this is kind of one of those, but wait, there's more moments that you would see on TV, just paying extra shipping. Well, with the preferred select rate that's already lowered for you guys, you can also stack it with all of these up to 25% discounts available to your clients. So an already low rate is going to get even lower. Now, I will point out a couple of things for you guys. Since the rates here are going to get lower and possibly lower than ACE, depending on what you're selling your clients, there are a lot of actuarial tips that you need to be aware of that go into this. First and foremost, a lot of the drivers that discount these rates are actually things that are positive on the actuarial side to drive healthier business. First and foremost, your preferred select rating obviously is your healthier clients. That should promote a healthier block of business with lower increases. Additionally, the 10% annual pay discount, number one, for you, the agents paying annually, obviously you're going to have better persistency, but they also find that people that are in better financial position are usually more conscious of their health, and that equates to those same people, having better claim outcomes, meaning, less going to the doctor for unhealthy stuff. So better claims history, better loss ratios for you, which also equates to a more stable block of business. And then the last thing is, obviously, if they're using that wearable device, they're going to be a health conscious person. Again, that should drive much better claims history within the Medicare supplement claims process. So having said all of that, these are all of the reasons. One of the things that I talked about, you guys, was that 25% discount equates to 3 months worth of free premium. If I was somebody that was a lot smarter than I am, and I will not tout that I'm smart when it comes to social media, I would have an absolute field day. Well, I would have to pay somebody to have a field day creating a social media blitz for myself to get something out there. If you're going to use the Allstate name, you would have to get it approved through Allstate. I would probably typically just write something more creative than what I've written here, but if you could save 25% or qualify for 3 months worth of free premium, would that interest you? There's a lot more creative ways to say it, but there's a huge opportunity for those of you that are good with social media to generate a ton more leads coming in for you and have an opportunity to sell the Allstate product to your clients and save them money. This is the last piece that I need to make sure you guys understand, and it's very, very, very important. Those of you that use the CSG, any of the quoting tools really for all intents and purposes, when you generally pull it up, first thing it's going to bring up is the base rates. I selected a Plan G. I went with a zip code here locally in Georgia. I selected a 68-year-old female, non-tobacco. When you run this, the first thing it does is bring up every carrier in the zip code that you put in there at that age. So as we mentioned, ACE Property and Casualty was designed as the lowest base rate that was out there. And then you'll notice that Allstate falls in here. Allstate falls down here again. These rates by Allstate actually do include discounts. Everybody else does not. So I believe they're non-discounted rate somewhere in this range. I don't know exactly where it is. But the reason I highlight this is because I want to show you how things change once you start applying discounts. You have applying household discounts that will apply to 7, 10%, whatever household discount applies for each one of these carriers. And then if you actually select on the annual rate, it will bring up the annual rate. And the reason that one is very important when we're talking Allstate is I'll show you next. Once you click the apply discounts and the annual rate, now you'll see that Allstate, all of those different combinations of rates now rule the state as far as the best rates for your client. And I also point out to you, if you go back one slide, it was 109 versus 110 for the best rate. ACE had it beat. Once you go to the annual rate, you're going to see that Allstate actually beats ACE by what, 170 bucks or so. So applying that annual pay discount really makes a big difference. And now I want to make this piece of it even easier for you guys, because this confuses a lot of agents. If you actually click this expand quotes button, it will open each one of these. So once you do that, you can tell exactly what each one is. The one thing it will never say here is annual. If you have the annual applied, it's going to click the annual discount 10%. Otherwise, it's never going to say it. But just so you guys know, so this actual quote up here would be the preferred select, getting the 5% discount for the wearable device, and then the household discount roommate dual means 10%. If it only said roommate, it would be 7%, but roommate dual is 10%. So this is the already lowered rate, preferred select, getting a 5% wearable discount, plus the 10% roommate dual, plus the 10% annual discount, gives you that annual rating there. So it's important to know if you expand these, you can tell exactly what they are. When I get to the next screen, I will suggest that if you guys can take a picture of this, you'll also have the webinar recorded. These are the different breakdowns with the percentages there so that you know what each and every one of them is. And I do make an important note on here. Make sure you filter the quotes by the annual to really get the maximum discounts for your clients. Obviously, it's never going to show in a monthly rate because that discount is only available by paying annually. And that's really the information I have for Allstate. All of the green states are currently have multi-discount available. The yellow states are coming June the 1st. In fact, they should be active to start selling, if they're not already, in the next few days to start quoting for June 1st rates. I know I've gone relatively quickly. This is another one that will be included. This is where all of these products are available nationwide. And with that, I'm really going to kind of close with a couple of things. If you guys are not contracted with any of these carriers at all, I think I've made a valuable point to you guys where each one of them can fall in your portfolio depending on where you're selling. So I would suggest that you go ahead and get contracted with the ones you are not. That will also make sure, if you're not contracted at all, that you can utilize the great tools that Senior Marketing Specialist has brought forward to you guys and the world-class support you're going to get. And then the last thing is, I beg you guys to write at least one app and just test out what I am talking about on how easy these carriers are to do business. And with that, Olivia, I know I spewed an awful lot of information, so I'll come back to you and see if we do have any questions that I can answer.
Yeah, again, we're getting some more. I think I answered a lot of the questions throughout the presentation. So make sure, guys, if you are still having questions, now is your chance to ask those. So we're here to answer them. A couple questions that I couldn't quite get answered, and I promised I would ask. Number one was asking about potential ACE activity in Florida. We know they're not there currently, and we know you can't say too much about with things with being filed and things like that. But can Florida expect the ACE product within
Yep,
the next year or at
it's
all?
already approved. It's already approved. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than that. In fact, there's an already exact date out there, and I don't know off the top of my head, but I will email you it, Olivia, and you can share that.
Perfect.
It's going to
Perfect.
be, we're talking weeks, not months.
Mm-hmm. Okay, absolutely. So that's awesome. That's great news. Another question was, what about California? We know California is always a difficult state. Do you know which of these products would be available in California? There's that availability chart.
You have Allstate, CVS, I wouldn't even pay attention to because of what they're doing in the market. I know the
Mhm.
Ellipse product is extremely competitive out there. And one we didn't even talk about for everybody on here, Humana, which is another one of our carriers, is actually making an extremely large market push to reduce their rates in a lot of the states. So if they're not competitive now, you're going to see that they are becoming competitive again. So currently, your best bets are going to be Allstate, Ellipse, Humana, and then I know Manhattan Assurance Company is also extremely competitive. In fact, I believe they're the company that is currently doing the most business out there out of all of our carriers. It's between Mac and Ellipse.
Beautiful. So what about, we've been getting a lot, and this question came up on the webinar, but I know our team has been getting this question a lot. In states like Kentucky, for example, that require carriers have something available for those individuals under age 65, what we see other carriers do is that they allow or they will have products available for those people, but they have to be in a guarantee issue or they have to be in an open enrollment situation. A lot of med subs will not underwrite somebody who is under age 65. Do you happen to know, this is a very niche question, but would you happen to know where these carriers stand on underwriting under 65 business?
Well, I will tell you for the most part, just on a general rule with the carriers that we bring to market when it comes to underage disability, a couple of things. No, I do not know specifically for that one, but I know it's a business that really drives higher rate increases. So typically speaking, you're going to find most of the carriers that are on this list are not going to have competitive rates for you when you're looking at the underage 65 disability business. And that's just because the insurance carriers don't really want it. So you're going to find that the rates start running $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 a month for Medicare supplement when possible, just because that's business that pretty much most of these carriers don't want. I know that's not fair to the consumer and I hate it, but that's kind of the way almost all of these Medicare supplements position that underage 65 business, sadly. So I know I don't have the exact answer on your specific state, but just kind of giving you a generalized the way most of these companies will position that underage 65 Medicare supplement business as a
Great
whole.
question.
There are
Thank
there are some carriers that don't, and
you.
those are the carriers I would look at when it comes down to it. CSG is going to be your best tool if you use the
Sure.
underage 65 quoting tool.
Sure. Another really great question. You've kind of alluded to it twice, and I know there's been some outgoing messages in regards to the Ascendo MedSup or that CVS Aetna MedSup. So can you clarify a little bit what's going on with that and how that affects the traditional Aetna Medicare supplement product?
Sure, sure. So I kind of highlighted that, CVS was a product of its own success and bad luck because the amount of business they took in. Open enrollment business typically runs a higher claims loss ratio, meaning, those seniors that wait till they turn 65 to get their hips done, those sort of things. They took a large quantity of that business in, and then we had all of the things that went on with COVID, and that kind of really hit them more so than most of the other carriers out there, just because of the amount of business they actually took in. So what's happened is in a lot of states recently, you're seeing 6, 8, 9, 10% rate increases, some even higher in states that they really got in trouble with as far as that goes. So what Aetna has kind of done is backed out of the Medicare supplement market, and they are doing a lot of focus on just the Aflac product. They're not bringing a new Aetna piece of paper into the market, at least over the next year or so. They're going to focus on their ancillary products and give the backing to the Aflac product. So when I mentioned it was a good home, it's a good home because number one, you've got a new piece of business or new company out there that's on the Aetna paper that uses all the processes. If the agent is familiar with how Aetna does their underwriting, I wrote Aetna for years, so I was really familiar with how all of their processes work. It's a good home for you to write business, and it's also a good home for those of you that were writing that CVS business with the rate increases that are coming, to start positioning yourself to write either the Aflac because they are on the Aetna platform, or if you want to go a total different direction, go in another direction with maybe one of the other carriers that we talked about today. So that's kind of why I highlighted it. And again, it's no offense to Aetna, it was more of a product of just bad timing and having the best product on the market when COVID actually hit and the United States shut down. Basically, the product launched like a week before the United States shut down.
Great timing. And just again to clarify that that is the Aetna specific, the CVS, like also known as the Ascendo product. Your other Medicare supplements with Aetna that does not have that CVS branding is not affected by this, especially those ancillary products like the cancer insurance, hospital indemnity, their dental plans. None of those are affected by this. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct, and thank you for clarifying that. In fact, like I mentioned, Aetna is focusing on specifically their ancillary products. They're putting their backing there, and they're backing with whatever Aetna products are still out there and available, and then with the duck. So that's being third party administered through them.
Perfect. And we did have another one more question that I have from the chat is basically it looks like Eric was asking questions saying what he normally writes depending where he's at. Some really strong carriers like Mutual of Omaha, United Healthcare, Humana, especially Allstate and Aflac. And I know we do, again, specifying that these are Medicare supplements are standardized plans. So when it comes to what original Medicare covers, basically the pints of blood, hospital stays, things like that, those are standardized. So it depends on you if you choose, the copays will depend on F, G, or N, which one you're going with. But again, just to reiterate, because I know you spent a lot of time today talking about why these plans are popular, are we expecting to see more investments in things like the discount vision, discount dental benefits, the gym memberships that you were kind of talking about? Can we expect to see some of those benefits to try to compete with Medicare Advantage plans coming from these integrity partners?
Yeah, I know that's something that's been in the war room discussions here on trying to get more value add, so to speak, for these. I know Allstate has some good ones that we talked about in there today, and I know it's something that going forward they are looking at doing. I just don't know where we're at in that process. Again, that, like I said, that team is a little bit smarter than I am. I know they're looking at it. I don't know exactly what they have in mind, and I would also venture a guess that that's obviously going to be under lock and key until it announced.
That's super fair. Very cool. That looks like that's all the questions that I have. If you did ask a question and don't feel like we've addressed it, please, you can go ahead and put it there now. But while we're double checking, giving everybody a last chance to ask those questions, again, Ted, I just want to say thank you so much for taking your time out to talk to us. Again, the Integrity Partnership has proved to have been a crazy, impressive partnership that we have with you guys. The tools that you bring, the resources that you have, and what we do for our agents in partnership with Together, I cannot say enough. It's so incredible to kind of join this movement and continue to bring up this industry and help agents be successful. So thank you so much for your time today and to discuss these products with us in depth. Now, for those of you who are interested, we are going to be having upcoming state-specific webinars about a lot of these projects. We are going to be discussing in Missouri, Illinois, Kansas, Colorado, and eventually Iowa as well. So we will be doing state specific. If you are in a state that's not one of those 5 and you're like, hey, I want to learn more about this, call that number. That number is to Senior Marketing Specialist, of course, 1-800-689-2800. And then, of course, that is our phone number. If you're somebody who's just like, I just want to kind of browse around, see, go to our website, smsteam.net. We do have a live chat feature there as well. If you're like me, I like to be able to get things done while I'm working on other stuff. So we do have a live chat feature if you're interested in utilizing that. Or, of course, as always, you can email us at contact@smsteam.net. That does come directly to us. But again, thank you everybody for hanging out with us today, learning a little bit more about these products. And again, we do really encourage you to visit our website or give us a call. You can also email me directly if you like to email a specific person. My email address is olivia.richardson@smsteam.net as well. But again, just want to give Ted a huge thank you for presenting us with this information today. Looking forward to, and Jerry, hang on for a little bit. I know you have some questions here. Hang on, I'm going to collect some information from you. But from everybody else, please give us a call, shoot us an email, or visit our website. So until next time, again, thank you, Ted, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you, Olivia. It was my pleasure. Thank you, everyone.
Of course.